What is going on, guys? It is WrestleGamia here, back with another video. Now, you would think with the amount of WWE games that have hit the market over the years, that every WWE superstar would have had their chance to appear in at least one of them, but sadly, you'd be wrong. Now, we're not talking about lesser loved wrestlers like Mordecai or Deuce and Domino, but instead some absolute legends that have for whatever reason never crossed over into the video game world. Some of these will probably shock you, so be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell, because today we're going to look at 10 popular WWE wrestlers who never made it into a WWE wrestling video game. By the way, don't confuse many of these entries as some wrestlers that appeared in the Legends of Wrestling series. That was not a WWE officially licensed game. Number 1. Bob Backlund. Yes, it's true. The two-time former WWE Heavyweight Champion, the man who succeeded Bruno Sammartino as the face of the company and carried that torch until it was picked up by Hulk Hogan in the early 80s. Yes, the man whose title reigns lasted a combined 2,138 days, with his initial reign of 2,135 days ranking as the second longest in history. This man has never appeared in a WWE video game. When you put it like that, it really does seem silly, doesn't it? You can't even use the excuse that Backlund was only a star in the pre-Hulkamania days, because he has had notable runs as both a foil to Bret Hart in the New Generation era, and briefly as a manager to Kurt Angle during the Attitude Era, and was also a life coach to Darren Young, vowing to make Darren Young great again. Of course, not only that, he has a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. But it was during the former of these that he declared his candidacy for the US presidency and created the character of crazy old conservative values Mr. Backlund, one of the most entertaining gimmicks of the New Generation era. We think he deserves to be in the game for this alone. Probably the highest achieving star to never appear in the WWE game, we think it's about time 2K did him right and gave him a spot next year. Now, if you've checked out our previous video on SmackDown 2 Know Your All Easter Eggs and Secrets, there is a head in that game that can be unlocked via GameShark code that looks very similar to Bob Backlund. It's not been confirmed it's actually him, but if it was, that would mark his unofficial appearance in a game. But since it's not been confirmed, we can only state that he's never been in a WWE video game ever. Number 2. Marty Jannetty. Party Marty should have had it all. He should have been a top star in the WWE for years. He should have been a Hall of Famer. You could argue that for a while during his days in the Rockers, he was actually better than his partner Shawn Michaels, though HBK would quickly outshine him and ascend to GOAT territory himself. Unfortunately for Marty Jannetty, he was his own worst enemy. A fantastic talent whose career was overshadowed by his multiple firings from the company as a result of personal issues outside of the ring. Jannetty, the Slums Mackenzie of wrestling, just couldn't stop partying for long enough to get his life and career on track. It seems only fitting then that he's never made an appearance in a WWE video game. This may seem surprising at first given how high profile he was within the company at various times, but after famously going through the barbershop window, he was never there for long enough to merit an inclusion. Now he stands as one of the great cautionary tales of wrestling. Number 3. Tito Santana. This one surprised even us. The Reba man had a long career in the WWE, from his time in Strikeforce as a tag team champion, to his Intercontinental title run, to his later run as the Spanish bullfighter the Matador. It seems logical that he would have appeared in a WWE video game at some point during this period, as he was always one of the top mid-carders in the company, popular amongst fans throughout his entire career. However, his only video game entry to this date comes in Legends of Wrestling 2, released back in 2002, but like we mentioned before, since this isn't a WWE licensed game, it still qualifies him for this list. It seems almost criminal that he hadn't at least made it into the Legends wing of the 2K series, given his well-deserved induction into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004, and we can only hope this is rectified in the near future. Number 4. Paul Orndorff. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff has the distinction of having appeared in the main event of the inaugural WrestleMania, while also having one of the highest drawing feuds of Hulk Hogan's career on the house show circuit. A staple of the Federation during the heights of the rock and wrestling era, you would think that he'd be a lock to appear in the WWE video game series at some point, but no, he's another one who has somehow managed to fall through the cracks over the years. Sadly, it seems unlikely that he'll appear in a WWE game as a legend anytime soon, given the fact that he was part of the recent class action concussion lawsuit filed against the WWE, which will surely put him in hot water with the company for a while yet. Number 5. Koko B. Ware. Okay, laugh about this one all you want, but he's a WWE Hall of Famer for crying out loud. Whether you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame is a discussion for another video, but for fans of the Hulkamania era, tell me you don't have fond memories of this colourful character coming down to the ring with his bird Frankie on his shoulder. We think he would have been a perfect fit for a WWE game, as he was basically a live-action video game character himself. Like his contemporary TITO Santana, he has appeared in digital form in Showdown Legends of Wrestling, but he deserves a spot in an official WWE licensed game. Number 6. Repo Man. Barry Darsow had two notable careers in the WWE, the latter as the cackling villain Repo Man, notable for repossessing wrestlers' goods, but also as Smash, one half of legendary tag team Demolition. He is still yet to make an appearance as the Repo Man. Unfortunately, there are reasons why this is unlikely to happen in the future. Similarly to Paul Orndorff, he was part of the class action concussion lawsuit filed against the WWE. The team of Demolition have also had a lawsuit against the WWE for use of the name. This, along with their class action concussion lawsuit, is widely believed to be the reason why they still haven't been entered into the WWE Hall of Fame, an even greater injustice in our eyes. We should start the hashtag Demolition for Hall of Fame 2020. Number 7. Giant Gonzalez. He was never the greatest wrestler in the ring, but just on presence and stature alone, Gonzalez should have been a sure thing for a WWE video game in the early 90s. He would have served as a great final boss-like challenge for players to compete against, but alas, it was never to be. Legitimately the tallest wrestler of all time, the Giant didn't have a long run in the company, but he's certainly still remembered for challenging The Undertaker at WrestleMania 9 while wearing one of the most bizarre sets of ring gear in recent memory. Sadly, he passed away in 2010 as a result of complications from diabetes, and it's unlikely that 2K will include him in any future video games. Rest in peace, big man. Number 8. Superstar Billy Graham. Superstar Billy Graham has had a fractured relationship with the WWE over the years, at one time being one of their top stars, then becoming very vocal against them during the steroid trial before finally returning to the fold in mid-2000s. Graham has become legendary for revolutionizing the wrestling world with his Muhammad Ali-inspired promos, bodybuilder physique, and magnetic charisma. He's even acknowledged as a man who inspired the Hulk Hogan character that would go on to unheard of success by refining what Graham had started. Still, the superstar has yet to appear in a WWE licensed video game. Again, a large part of the reason for this has been due to its years on the outs with the company, while it was at its greatest heights, but now that he's part of the family again, we think it's about time he be considered for a role in next year's game. If nothing else, it will give some modern fans that may not be as familiar with him an education on the former WWE Heavyweight Champion and how much of the groundwork he laid for what they watch today. Number 9. The Dynamite Kid. Perhaps the most controversial wrestler on this list, the Dynamite Kid's innovative and influential in-ring career has been marred by a personal life which painted a picture of a nasty and abusive human being behind the character. Still, personal feelings about the man aside, his legacy and talent cannot be ignored. Dynamite Kid was one of the original high flyers, creating much of the style that has become such a commonplace up and down the card in wrestling nowadays, while also being one of the most accomplished technical wrestlers to have ever lived. Without him, simply put, there wouldn't be a Seth Rollins or a Daniel Bryan today. He also has the notable distinction of taking part in the first match to ever be rated 5 stars by Dave Meltzer alongside Tiger Mask Satoru Siyama. So with that in mind, does he deserve a spot in the future 2K WWE game? That's one that you can debate in the comments down below. And number 10, Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas. This entry is 2 for the price of 1. While a legend in his own right, Soul Man Rocky Johnson's exclusion from WWE video games in the past is perhaps more surprising given the fact that he just so happens to be the father of Dwayne Johnson. You would think that with the sway the Great One has within the company, he would have pushed to do his dad a solid and get him an inclusion in one of the series entries. Tony Atlas is equally as deserving of a spot too. As Rocky Johnson's partner, the two entered the WWE Hall of Fame in 2006 and are recognized as the first black wrestlers to become WWE Tag Team Champions. It's surprising that this isn't part of the history WWE wanted to tout given Kofi Kingston's recent historic title win. We can only hope that they get their eventual inclusion next year. But there you have it guys, 10 popular WWE wrestlers who never made it into a WWE wrestling video game. Be sure to leave your comments down below on any other wrestlers that deserve to be on this list. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.